Hello, and welcome to the 2018 Quality Performance Assessment and Essential Personalized Learning Joint Summer Institute Info Session. We're excited by your interest in the Institute and hope this info session will answer many of your questions about CCE's two summer learning opportunities. And to begin with, we have some logistics. All participants' microphones are automatically muted. And throughout the webinar, please write your questions in the question box, but we will also have a Q&A in the end. And the webinar will be recorded to share with those who are interested but cannot attend today. The presenters for today are myself, Kim Sayes, with the Quality Performance Assessment team, and my colleague, Laura Toda, with the Essential Personalized Learning team. And Carissa Coro, the Interim Program Director for Quality Performance Assessment, will be joining us for the Q&A to answer some of your questions.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'll take just a moment now to share a bit about our organization. The Center for Collaborative Education was established in 1994 to promote innovative schools and increase justice and opportunity for all learners. Our work in the field of education includes services such as providing technical assistance and professional development focused on effective and equitable schools. To date, CCE has a network of approximately 50 rural, suburban, and urban districts across half a dozen states that partner with us for a range of programs, including performance assessment and personalized learning. The two program areas at CCE offering summer learning opportunities in the Northeast are Quality Performance Assessment and Essential Personalized Learning. The Quality Performance Assessment program within CCE works with educators on building assessment literacy, strengthening skills to facilitate professional conversations with colleagues, and creating processes that support the development, implementation, and calibration of high-quality performance assessments. The Essential Personalized Learning program partners with schools and districts to address achievement gaps and promote equity in education, to ensure access for all students to high-quality learning experiences that are personalized to the learner's needs and interests, and to develop and enhance a culture of collaboration in which teachers collaborate with teachers, teachers collaborate with students, and students collaborate with one another.
We will spend the first part of the session giving an overview of the QPA Institute, and then we will go into the EPL Institute. Finally, we will save some time at the end to answer any questions that aren't answered during the presentation. Please don't hesitate to type your questions into the chat box as they come up throughout the session. Depending on the subject, we may answer them immediately or save them for the end. Now we'll jump into talking about the Quality Performance Assessment Summer Institute, which will take place July 16th to the 19th in Simmons College here in Boston. As a participant at the QPA Summer Institute, you will brainstorm strategies for incorporating student voice and choice and culturally responsive practices into assessment, and create models to share and take back to your colleagues in schools. You'll also design curriculum-embedded interdisciplinary assessments that are aligned to teacher direction, student instructions, and rubrics. You'll engage in collaborative protocols to ensure technical quality in all aspects of performance assessment. And learning these protocols also allow all voices to be heard. You'll also build skills to facilitate professional conversations with colleagues in your school and/or district and encourage continual improvement. Our framework focuses on continual improvement and the roles of educators within it. Summer Institute is a 4-day interactive professional development workshop. Interactive means you will be doing group work, making presentations, and facilitating groups, among many other activities. Over the 4 days, you will be taken through the complete performance assessment design cycle. You will develop and design rigorous and culturally responsive performance assessments, and then put them through various protocols to ensure high technical quality. You will also plan for implementation, considering how to embed the assessment into your curriculum, grading and scoring, and providing opportunities for students to reassess. You will use a variety of QPA tools to facilitate assessment validation and calibration, and you'll receive a QPA guide which has all of these tools within it. Now we'll talk about why you should choose to focus on performance assessment. The time is ripe to rethink assessment. High-stakes standardized tests have done a disservice to our students. While they have helped show opportunity and achievement gaps, they have done little to help fix those gaps. Instead, high-stakes testing has served to label schools instead of provide a means for deeper learning and equitable education. ESSA has offered a reset in the education landscape in our country. States, districts, and schools are empowered to make educational and instructional decisions. The door is open for practitioners to reimagine assessment and use more expansive and culturally responsive assessments in their accountability system. There's a continuum of assessments. Different kinds of assessments serve different purposes and give us different levels of data about students. Multiple choice tests might give us information about the content students have absorbed, but they don't always tell us much about students' academic skills and even less about the 21st century skills they can demonstrate. Even the PARCC and SBAC tests, which are meant to give a richer portrait of student learning, fail to capture key pieces of data about a student's mastery of 21st century skills, such as the ability to collaborate, demonstrate creativity, and be self-directed learners. Performance assessments have the capacity to measure knowledge, academic skills, and 21st century skills, driving deeper learning for all students and giving educators richer data about what students can do. For those transitioning to using performance assessments, this new assessment style might represent a significant change in instructional practice and the culture of the classroom. It might change classroom experiences in the following ways. The culture of the classroom might change from silence and isolation to communication and collaboration. The culture might change from a have to get to with voice and choice. Instead of waiting for results, there's continual peer and teacher critique. And whereas going from a teacher or test company as audience, the audience becomes peers, family, and community. And the assessment cycle might go from scoring in a secretive and external way to making transparent and self-directed rubrics. Assessments might go from being purposeless to being engaging and purposeful. And finally, assessments go from having no reference to students' cultures to being designed with students' cultures in mind. Now that we've laid the context for how quality performance assessment transforms education, we want to hone in on what makes a quality performance assessment. The Summer Institute will of course go into this framework in more depth, but we want to preview it for you briefly. Quality performance assessments are aligned to academic and 21st century learning targets or competencies. They're fair and culturally responsive. They're open-minded and relevant to students' backgrounds, and they show what a student knows and can do. They require application and transfer through multi-step processes. They use rubrics with clear criteria, and they result in original products, performances, or solutions to real-world problems. The Summer Institute is structured in 4 days, and in day 1, you'll get the introduction to the QPA model and the importance of cognitive rigor. Day 2, we'll dive into learning the processes and developing quality performance assessments. In day 3, you'll be able to practice the QPA validation process and develop scoring norms on student work. And finally, on day 4, participants will present work completed during the Summer Institute. And throughout these 4 days, time will be provided for individual and collaborative work with your school teams. These are some of the logistics for the QPA Institute, and we will leave this slide up for a moment for you to Read. Now, Laura will share information about the Essential Personalized Learning Summer Institute.
Thank you, Kim. The Essential Personalized Learning Summer Institute will be held July 30th to August 2nd at the Holiday Inn in Denham, Massachusetts. At CCE, we believe that equity personalized learning tailors the educational experience for every student by embracing individual strengths, needs, interests, and culture, and elevating student voice and choice to raise engagement and achievement. In our model of personalized learning, the personalized learning takes place within the context of educational equity, providing culturally responsive learning environments and equitable educational opportunities for all students. We believe that context matters, so our work is to partner with schools and districts to create their own vision of personalized learning. The CCE framework for personalized learning includes what we refer to as the 5 principles of personalized learning and the 5 systems of support for personalized learning. The 5 principles describe primarily classroom-based strategies in the implementation of personalized learning, while the systems of support are the structures necessary to be in place for the school or district-wide implementation of personalized learning practices. Let me briefly explain each of the 5 principles. First, competency-based learning. Competencies are targets for student learning that allow students to move at their optimal pace and receive credit when they demonstrate mastery of the competencies at each new level. Second, flexible learning. Time, space, and teacher roles within schools must adapt to the needs of students through the use of technology and flexible structures, rather than being a fixed, one-size-fits-all experience. Third, student-driven learning. Students exercise voice and choice in their learning and co-create personal academic profiles that are used to develop personal learning plans focused on student interests, aspirations, and learning challenges, and follow one of multiple pathways to demonstrate proficiency. Fourth, dispositions for learning. With a focus on equity, identity, and concern for others, students develop the attitudes and habits necessary for academic growth and preparation for life in a global society. Fifth, and finally, authentic learning. Students engage in standards or competency-aligned workplace, project, and community-based learning experiences, with multiple opportunities to demonstrate what they know and are able to do. The 5 systems of support for personalized learning describe the conditions necessarily present for equitable personalized learning to take root and grow in schools. We believe that if educators are going to be held accountable for student outcomes, administrators and teachers must work collaboratively, need maximum control over decisions and resources. On the EPL team, we coach leaders at all levels to think systematically, manage change, and design policies and practices to close achievement gaps and ensure equity for all students. When schools and families share frequent open communication, educators are able to better understand their students and personalize learning to each learner's unique interests and needs. So our team supports schools' efforts for strengthening their family and community engagement practices. At CCE, we specialize in adult learning and the development of professional learning communities, or critical friends groups, and believe that empowering educators is the key to meaningful education reform. Finally, we support schools developing tech literacy to facilitate their own learning initiatives, including the use of learning management systems, blended instruction, and tools that support increased student engagement. The EPL Institute is a 4-day personalized professional development experience guided by a role and interest-based pathway. At the EPL Institute, participants will be exposed to a number of whole group, small group, and individual learning experiences. The Institute begins with an overview of the CCE framework of personalized learning, with time spent drawing the connection of the urgency of personalized learning for the advancement of educational equity. Through a series of choice sessions, participants will have the opportunity to take deep dives into specific principles and systems of support for personalized learning, for the purpose of widening understanding and increasing exposure to opportunities for personalized learning within each participant's school or district. The culminating experience at the Institute is the development and presentation of, and feedback on, a preliminary action plan to bring personalized learning practices and school structures back to each participant's school or district to begin the journey of becoming a personalized learning school. Throughout this Institute, CCE coaches will be available to provide support and offer resources, think through dilemmas, and discuss change management strategies in the process of becoming a personalized learning school. Participants will also be supported through hearing from experts in the field and through participation in a Pathway Affinity Critical Friends group. This pathway is a role and interest-based path selected by participants with the support of CCE staff to help CCE personalize each participant's experience at the Institute. In addition to the pathway each participant will have, there will be blended learning opportunities for participants to take on what we call individual exploration. Through an individual exploration, participants will research, synthesize, and complete a mini performance assessment to demonstrate learning and competency in one particular personalized learning topic. Individual explorations might cover topics such as developing student competencies, flexible room design, personal learning pathways and profiles, project-based learning, school readiness for personalized learning, student-led conferences, or even technology tools, including blended learning. Speaking more generally, the EPL Institute will provide these 4 opportunities for participants, which include developing an understanding of personalized learning, considering implications and applications for their own school or district, creating an action plan for implementation, and collaborating with colleagues from schools and districts across New England. At the EPL Institute, participants will develop an action plan about how they will use their roles to push personalized learning within their schools or context, which all participants will share on the final afternoon of the Institute. Participants will also experience co-led critical friends groups with peers on the same pathway, leaving with new ideas for next steps, strategies to overcome common problems of practice, and a collaborative network. Participants will also pursue an individual exploration, using flex time throughout the Institute for blended learning to achieve a final outcome of their choosing. You can see here the logistics for the EPL Institute. Once again, we'll leave this slide up for a few moments for you to look. Performance assessments and personalized learning have implications for all levels of education. When using performance assessments, educators are prompted to reimagine instruction and collaborate for cohesion across classrooms, schools, and districts. When personalizing learning for students, classroom practices, school structures, and district systems will all be factors in the effectiveness and sustainability of implementation. At our Summer Institute, we explore concrete tools and practices for developing school cultures for performance assessments and personalized learning. These discussions, protocols, and design methods are designed for teachers, teacher leaders, curriculum directors, and for administrators in K-12, higher education, or adult education. They have implications for classroom instruction as well as accountability structures more broadly.
As a reminder, you can continue to find information on our summer learning opportunities at the links provided here or submit further inquiries by contacting the program directors whose emails are provided on this slide. In addition, a recording of this info session will be uploaded to our YouTube channel within 5 business days for your review. Now, we'll gladly take any questions you might have. Please use the questions box provided.
I see a question here that might be directed to Carissa or Kim for quality performance assessment. And one of our attendees is asking, do participants need to come with a plan for a performance assessment they're interested in implementing it in their school? Or is that something they'll have the opportunity to consider during the Institute?
So you don't need to come with a plan. We start with an overview of a quality performance assessment framework, and we help you through exercises, understand what it feels like to participate and assess in that system, and then we practice designing performance assessments, and you have opportunities with your team to think about how to start to build a quality performance assessment framework in your schools.
I also see a question here about the Personalized Learning Institute, about how much experience a participant would need to have to participate. And the answer to that is any level. One of the unique features of the format of our institute is that through the pathway that participants will will select with the support of CCE staff, we'll be able to pair participants based on their understanding of personalized learning so far. So for educators or teachers coming from schools that have been working on personalized learning practices for 1, 2, or even 3 years, we have pathways that are geared toward those participants who want to take personalized learning to the next level. And we have pathways for participants who are perhaps the only, or at least perceived they're the only person in their school who at this time is interested in pursuing personalized learning practices. So the Institute is really fitting for people at all experience levels with personalized learning. Thank you all for your participation in today's webinar. As a reminder, we will have a recording available if you'd like to see any of this information again, if you didn't have an opportunity to maybe take down some dates or information you would like. And as a reminder, you're welcome to contact anyone at the Center for Collaborative Education, and we are happy to answer any questions that come up for you in the coming weeks. And we hope to see many of you at one or both of our institutes this summer. Thank you for joining.